What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 221 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. And today we've got a fantastic guest. We can't wait to start chatting, but we're going to be talking all about ways to scale your products on Amazon and why a lot of sellers on Amazon fail. There's a lot of reasons why people they run into a rough patch or things didn't work out the way they want and they quit, and there's lots of ways to avoid that. So we're going to be talking about all those things and so much more with our great guest today, Jayce Broda. He is the managing director for Seller Interactive. What's up, Jayce? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
We are excited. And you're not in your normal location right now, right? You told us that before.
This is if you've been on my stuff before, this is not my setup here. No, my daughter is she's pursuing a career in veterinary medicine, and
nice.
so she needs practical internships and stuff like that as much as possible just to even get into vet college. So we had a wonderful family friend who runs a clinic here in Saskatchewan, Canada, because I'm Canadian, and so we drove the 4 days from Toronto to here so she can work here for 2 weeks. And I just said, I'll come with you and I'll work from home. So I'm in this beautiful, picturesque farm in the middle of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is incredibly gorgeous. I didn't expect that, but it is. It's like, it's always sunny. They call it the land of the big sky because it's sunny all the time. And the massive, colossal farms are covered in like golden wheat or canola, and so it literally sparkles off the sun because it's so bright, and it's just stunning. I saw more mule deer, elk, and moose here in 1 hour than I've seen in my entire life in Ontario. So it's just so beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So you got to move there? Are you looking for a house? What's the situation?
Oh man, don't tell me, because I love it here. It's so beautiful. It's really great. But yeah, anyways, I'm in this picturesque farmhouse here in their attic, trying to get work done, talking to you guys. So it's good.
Well, your daughter should have a problem getting a job. I just read an article that veterinarians are like super low as far as there's not a lot of out there. There's a lot of demand for them, and
high demand.
There's not a lot.
Yep. Yeah, she's working on horses, cows, dogs, cats, the whole bit.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, sounds like you have an opportunity for a job also at the Chamber of Commerce for Saskatchewan. You're like promoting it very well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Side job.
I wonder if you would still move there in January. I wonder if it's a little different story.
Yeah, that's a big difference. They get buried in like 11 feet of snow. Yeah,
that's cool. That's awesome, though. Yeah. It is nice to be able to work from anywhere, be able to travel with your family.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for it.
Well, that's a good segue, actually, because we would like to, before we jump into our topic here, I'd love to have you just give a little bit of your background, how you got into the e-commerce space, what brought you to Seller Interactive, what you guys are doing at Seller Interactive for people. So take as much time as you want to give a little bit of your background.
Yeah, sure. So before this, I worked for Android Authority. So that's really how I got this job to start. So I was hired by two e-commerce entrepreneurs who started two in-house brands and started selling on Amazon. Now they sell pretty much everywhere. And they said, look, we're running into, like, they went to entrepreneur meetup groups here in Toronto, where e-commerce guys would just get together and collab and help and support each other. And it was really clear that an agency, like a marketing agency that focused on e-commerce and Amazon, was a clearly a necessary thing. And this is, almost 4 years ago. 3.5 years ago or so. So they wanted an ad guy, someone who knew content, who could do content marketing and, and really sell it, be in the beginning, the operations director, the sales director, everything for the first while until we could get it off the ground. So when I left Android Authority, because I was doing videos and ads for them 3 days a week, 3 shows a week. So you can go now on YouTube and search Jayce Broda and see like over 1,000 YouTube videos on Android phones, Android related news, marketing news with regards to new mobile technology. And so when that ended, I got Seller Interactive, and it grown incredibly fast. It was growing fast before the pandemic, but the pandemic was like another kick in the pants where it just absolutely exploded. You want to talk about supply and demand. There's a lot of people out there who need help selling on Amazon. It's the largest sales platform in the world. demand is skyrocketing. So for the first 7 months, it was me alone cold calling because I didn't have a good lead gen channel. When we developed that, and then we brought on Ken. So some people who have worked with us know Ken. He's our operations director, and now we've grown, God, incredibly fast to meet this crazy thing we call Amazon. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, the market has exploded. I mean, it was going that way anyway, but the pandemic certainly accelerated it. When every retail store, every brand that was selling direct to retailers, and that was their model, and all of a sudden the rug got pulled out from under them, and everything transitioned to e-commerce. I mean, it was like exclusively e-commerce for a while during the pandemic, and they had to figure out how to get in front of that. And it's a completely different animal. Selling direct to consumer via a platform like Amazon, where you've got to present your product in the right way, get it priced right, then you're advertising, all the things that you weren't doing before when you're just fulfilling POs to your distributors or your retailers or whatever. So it accelerated it fast, and there was definitely not enough early on, at least when that started. There wasn't enough Amazon talent out there to support that demand, and everyone had to grow. We felt that here at Solozo big time. The amount of people that were looking for help with advertising and all the other things that are a part of it. But talk a little bit about the services you guys provide for your clients.
So, well, we provide what's called full account management. We do provide a la carte services, like one-off services for sure. But I'd say 85% of our clients are what we call full account. So they stay with us on a month-to-month basis. Full account, there's really 4 pillars of it. Ongoing listing optimization. So Amazon's algorithm is constantly evolving. Your listings need to evolve along with it. It's never a set it and forget it. That's a huge point. Your listings have to convert. You may have great looking, sexy product images, great copy you think is converting, but if it doesn't increase your session rate, if it doesn't actually lead to a sale, it doesn't matter how good you think it looks. So that has to be tested on an ongoing basis. That we certainly stand out for that. Then PPC campaigns, for sure. Running campaigns that are consistent with their goals, whether or not they want to be profitable or whether or not they want to scale, and they're not concerned about their ACoS as much. Some want to keep their ACoS down, that kind of thing. And then account health, that's a huge component. It's growing. So we deal with suspended accounts, counterfeiters, resellers that you want to get off, brand registry issues, that kind of thing. Just dealing with Amazon support. At our scale, we have access to Amazon support that the average seller just can't get, right? Partly because a lot of our staff are former Amazon support, right? So that helps a lot. And because we're at scale, we have account managers at Amazon that will take our call anytime, answer our emails, and most sellers can't afford that. So big advantage. And then the fourth is customer service, and then review management. So we want to devise a strategy for each of our clients to attract genuine TOS compliant reviews. So this idea that I'm just going to create a great product, launch a great brand, and reviews are going to come, you're naive and foolish. That's the field of dreams, Tom. I'm going to build it and they will come. No, they won't. They won't, right? Because they don't care about your product and they don't know why they should care about your product, so they're not going to buy it, right? So generating real, genuine reviews is something you have to plan for. And that's what we call full account management.
Yeah, so you're taking care of everything for them. That's fantastic. Just before we jump into some of the more topics, but who's your ideal client? What are you looking for as a good partnership with you? Great
question. So, in the Amazon sort of industry, there's the full spectrum. There's people selling courses, right? $10,000 course, $5,000 course, just to help with a complete beginner, just get started. And then there's the very high end people who have their own internal teams. They're earning maybe millions of dollars a month in revenue, and they've built their own internal team, right? And then there's everyone in between. And that's really where we are, everyone in between. So we're talking anywhere from $20,000 a month revenue on up to $100,000 a month in revenue. And so they're doing well, but at $25,000 a month, that may sound like a lot when you're just starting out, but it's almost nothing because if you're doing that all yourself, you might not be sleeping much and you're stressed out and you're dealing with inventory and sales forecasting. And oh yeah, trying to actually build your brand, actually work your business, as opposed to just Amazon. Because Amazon is such a large sales channel, it takes up a disproportionate amount of time for most brand owners. We take that off your plate. And so you can focus on your actual business. So our ideal client, to answer your question, is someone who has some traction. They're earning enough to merit partnering with an agency that can scale that for them, reduce their operational costs, increase their sales if at all possible, right? So that's really where the sweet spot is. The ACE count, the SKU count is sort of all over the place. We have clients who have 1 or 2. We have clients who have hundreds. So they really have to be earning enough to merit partnering with an agency to do that.
So when an account comes with you, what's the most common area that you're focusing on? When I'm sure you do some type of like pre-discovery call or discovery call to figure out what they really need to work on. What's the most common area you see that you can bring value to a seller, maybe that they're missing on their own?
Yeah. So yeah, this is the number one thing. We have clients who are passionate about their product. They care about their product. They understand how it's going to help someone's life. But the average buyer doesn't know that, and they don't care. And they don't care enough to spend the time digging into your bullet points or going to your website or watching your full video to understand why they should care about the product. Why should I buy yours over someone else's? The average person is spending 3 to 5 seconds on an Amazon listing. So your job is to convey why I should buy your product over someone else's in 3 to 5 seconds. How many listings do that? Very few. They do a piss poor job at it because they're attached to it. They have what I call the curse of knowledge. They know why their product's great, right? But if I can't convey that in 3 to 5 seconds, it's not worth anything. It doesn't mean anything. So most people are looking at the hero shot and the title. So when we talk about ongoing listing optimization, that's what we're testing most frequently is the hero shot, first product image, and the title. Right. So oftentimes people think, oh, my listing's great. And we go through it and, we measure their session rates, we're looking at all the metrics. And it's like, there's a lot of room for improvement. Typical problem that comes up, they make a video because they know video increases the session rates. And the longer to stay on your listing, the more likely they are to convert. And then they make what I call a very self-centered video, right? The video opens up and it slowly fades from black into not their product, their company logo, their brand logo. No one gives a flying F about your logo. And the average person we know from online video data is spending less than 3 seconds on your video. So if you don't tell them instantly and show and tell why they should care about your product, they're gone, and you spent $5,000 on a product video that does nothing for your conversions. Right?
It's so true. That's a good point. I mean, they're still moving that scroll up while that video is rolling, and they're going to be gone if they didn't catch their attention.
So what I do, what our agency does here is we're going to provide you a very no-nonsense assessment of why you're not selling the way you want to sell and what practical measures can be done to increase your sales and how can we measure that, right? So those are just some of the really obvious things. When you open up a listing, you can see, okay, the person is just, they're not thinking Amazon all the time like we do.
You made a post or ad, I can't remember exactly what it was, that really caught my attention. Something that just was like kind of an eye-opener, like an aha moment. And this kind of goes on the topic of scaling and what we're going to talk about doday, but it was called micro-testing.
Yep.
The concept of micro-testing, launching new products. What's that process look like as a seller? Like if a seller, doesn't hire sellers, how would we take that process in our own business?
Great question. So this speaks to if your audience only takes one thing from me today, take this. You need to launch more products. Almost all of you. You're not launching enough, right? So here, I don't have to tell anyone. It's so competitive on Amazon that you can have a killer product. It was awesomely done. Great branding, amazing launch. You got a PPC budget to be aggressive. You can handle a high ACoS. Everything's right. And still fail, right? Mm-hmm. And still fail because you were hoping for a home run on your first product or your first 5 products, right? The number one thing you need to do is to launch more products. 2 things are going to happen. One, you're going to learn a crap ton more and much faster about what's working for your brand and what's not. And second, you just have way more at-bats, right? I don't want 3 at-bats. I want 50 until I get, and I don't have to hope for a grand slam. I can be hitting doubles and triples all afternoon long. That's what happens when you launch a whole bunch of products. Now, when people hear that, go, Jayce, it sounds great, Jayce, but one human being with a limited budget. How do I possibly launch 20 new products like we did for our one in-house brand 2 years ago? Well, you micro test. So it's expensive. I know. It's time consuming. I know, right? So what steps can we take to get the best ROI, the best return on feedback? What's going to work and what's not going to work before I start to dump a bunch of money and time? It's micro testing. So here's an example. The first example is for a brand like most of our clients. I think a lot of your listeners out there, they're already selling something and it has some traction. Okay. It may not be a gangbuster, but it's selling reasonably well. I want to be able to expand on that momentum and build on it without having to have the increased risk of launching a whole different product in another product category. Okay. So the example I use most is one of our own in-house brands, because we talk about our own in-house brands. We had no problem with that. Kitchables. Kitchables is a line of kitchenware, and most of them are various versions of cappuccino cups or espresso cups. Okay. Now we have one that has, I think, almost 3,000 reviews, selling really well. I don't then want to take that and start a kettle or to launch spoons like other kitchenware. I want more espresso cups, right? Different sizes, one with a handle, one not with a handle. And we use the double wall thermo-insulated. That's our category. Double wall thermo-insulated cappuccino cups. That's our product category. Very narrow. But because we have 7 or 8 different double wall cappuccino cups, all in that micro niche, we're not Pepsi over Coke. We're not Coke over Pepsi. We're Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper and 7-Up. We own, rank number 1, 3, 7, 14, 27. If you go on the top page and you search our keywords, we're multiple times in the same page with multiple different products in the same category. So think about this. We weren't launching a completely new mold, right? We were able to launch a variation of a product we already had, or a variation of mold we already have, right? In some cases, it's, cappuccino cup, same product, set of 4, set of 8, different SKU. Right? We tested out child ASINs and a separate independent parent ASIN to see what worked. We found out a different parent ASIN minimized the risk, just increase the chances that we take off. So that's just one example of micro testing, but I want to give an example if you're starting out new. So you have nothing. How do I micro test when I have no momentum to build on? So what I like to do is just to point out that what most people doing when you search on YouTube for how to launch a product on Amazon, they give you some good advice, right? You go on Google Trends, use H10, Jungle Scout, and you're looking for products that are selling really well, but don't have a lot of reviews. The listings don't look great, but they're still selling. Okay, maybe I can break into that product category. That's what everyone's doing, right? I'm not missing anything. It's great. It's good advice. The problem is you're making that decision on the same data that 10,000 other sellers are trying to do. I want our sellers, I want everyone listening to go for data that other people are not using. Okay. And there's lots of other data that matters that no one talks about. How many Chinese sellers are in that product category? In the top 10, how many are Chinese? Why does that matter? Well, the Chinese have a big significant advantage over people here in the West. Their manufacturing costs are way cheaper. It's faster. They understand the culture. There's no language barrier. They can get stuff up much faster. That's why they do. And that's why so many of their products are cheaper. If I want to go head to head with 5 Chinese sellers in the top 10, I want to do that with eyes wide open. I'm probably not going to do that, right? That's another data point that really matters, right? I'm going to do a brand assessment. So if I'm looking to get into a product category, how many of those brands are doing aggressive content marketing? How many of them have a vibrant, active Facebook group? How many of them are old school and they're using forums? Right? I have a working dog. He's sitting right beside me here, right? So these guys, these old working dog community guys, they're not on Facebook as much. They're on old forum from like 1998, right? Am I checking that out? Do they have a community where they're already selling to, or they're already a leader within that community? I want to know that, right? Imagine you spend all this time and investment, and then you're hitting an absolute juggernaut in that community, right? Who has a lot of authority in that tribe. I want to know that beforehand. That's where we're getting data to really micro test. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good. I love this, like spreading out more in what's working, right? So as a seller, so let's say a seller's got the 4 or 5 products already launching. They got one hero product. You're basically just saying, take your hero and just add more gas to the fire and get more options on the search results.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say for those old marketing guys, because I love to consume marketing books. There's a famous book called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Okay. And it directly says you don't want to line extend. We're talking about line extension. Give me 10. And they're making the case that a line extension weakens your brand. Right.
Mm.
And it's a great book. And he's absolutely right. But it was written in like 40 years ago when there weren't platforms, marketplaces that were run by algorithms. Amazon is like a social media platform like YouTube, right? When I was on YouTube doing 3 videos a week, we were live and dying on fresh new content. You guys are doing stuff now, right? You may have a killer podcast that got lots of views and listeners, and it was fantastic. But if you don't put anything out for 8 weeks, your podcast is going down in the directory of search results, right? Amazon's the same way. It will reward sellers who are constantly putting out new products, especially within a narrow product niche, because you're looked at as an authority in that narrow domain, in that niche, right? It's the same thing. Amazon is an algorithm and it rewards new products. So you have to launch new products. So the question is, how do you do that in a way that minimizes your costs and investment in the early stages? So last recommendation, because I know a lot of people are going, I don't have any products. How do I micro test? If you have a few $100 a month, you have a little money, you can run Facebook ads. So what we've done in the before is people are familiar with PickFu, right? You guys you know what it is? Okay. So again, this is one of the common suggestions that people get, and it's great, but it has limitations. So for those who don't know what PickFu is, it's a crowdsourcing image sort of assessment tool. So you put up multiple different product images, and a crowd, just random people in there you don't know, not your friends and family, they will say what they like and what they don't like, what they click on, what they don't click on. And some of that is transferable to Amazon, not completely. Okay. So I want to do the same thing, but I want more. So if you're able to go to the next stage and your PickFu data looks good, and you want to go to the next stage without actually going to a manufacturer and talking about molds and all that kind of stuff, have a graphic artist from Fiverr if you don't have your own, create a mock-up of your product. And what it needs to be is we're talking about the hero shot quality, that first product image on Amazon. That's what I'm trying to test on Facebook to see if I get a click-through rate. So I want the graphic artist to make a mock-up that's makes the primary benefit of that product, the main feature of that product, clearly evident. Okay. So here's an example. On Amazon, bicycle helmets are big, right? And I was working, they weren't a client, but I was consulting with them, a brand that was selling the soft, sort of cushy version of the helmet. Have you guys seen that? Like some Tour de France guys, they don't wear a hard helmet, they wear that soft helmet. And he was taking there's a great idea. He was taking the same thing and making similar soft helmets for like rugby and lacrosse and other like full contact sports. It was great because immediately it was in the product category of bike helmet, but looked completely different from all other bike helmets. And so the main benefit, the main differentiator was visible in the photo. It was great. And then you test that on a Facebook ad. Okay. You can target your audience. You can't do that on PickFu, right? You can limit the budget. Can't do that on PickFu. You can scale it up. Can't do it on PickFu. And you can drive them to a landing page where they can opt in for more information. So you sort of position this as, hey, this is a prototype. This is an exciting thing for, our community, just our community. And, do you like this? And if you can measure the click-through rate, that's the only thing I care about. Are they clicking on to get more information? And if they do that at a rate that I'm happy with, then that begins to justify going to the next stage. Another example of micro-testing. Make sense?
That's genius. Yeah, I love that. Testing out, building a list and all that. And then once it gets live, it's kind of like a Kickstarter, but you're doing your own.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can do that for $300 a month. Right. Yeah. So again, the point here, the main takeaway, it's a mantra, get this, like, remember this. You want to micro test, you need data that other people don't have, that they're just not taking the time, they're not thinking about, they're not doing or whatever. Right. There's much more to micro testing, but that's sort of the basic gist of it.
Let's say you got access to brand registry. Dustin and I got access to brand registry. How would you use brand registry to validate like new products to micro test, or would you?
How would you do that exactly? How would you use brand registry for that?
I would look at the brand analytics, or I'd look at the trend lines of search terms and see if the trends are going up or down on individual search terms that I'm going after. That's just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way or not.
Yeah, no, there's definitely merit in that for sure. For sure. I mean, we care about session rates on your listing a lot. So that's a big metric. Are they staying on my listing? When I make a change, the other thing, micro testing, was you make a change on a listing, depending on how many units are being moved, how many people came to your listing per day, we're going to change the rate at which we test, right? So if you're only selling 50 units a month, we're going to change it at a much slower rate. We're going to change the hero shot or the title at a slower rate. But if you're getting, you're moving 2,000 units a month, we're going to test that at a much rapid rate to get that quicker feedback, right? So I would change one thing, whether it's the hero shot, the video, whatever some of the copy is, and then test it and see how it goes. Test one thing at a time. Simple A/B testing metrics, right? Don't change one small thing, test it. Change another small thing, test it. People can do that as long as it isn't a gated community and you can edit those things. You're not a reseller. You can edit your listing without having to get approval of Amazon. You can do that rapidly.
That's a big one. I mean, that would be on the topic of why a lot of sellers fail now. And it's something that I can tell you from my own story. I mean, I launched my first product in 2014, and I bet I didn't change an image, a title. I didn't change anything probably for years on that because it worked. I mean, at that time it worked. It was selling, it was going, but I didn't factor in all this competition that's pouring in that were literally evaluating my listing and figuring out how they could do it better across the board. And so the A/B testing and the constantly tweaking the optimization of your listing is super important. And I think that is a common mistake they make. Like you said, you're I don't know what the word is, but you're biased towards your own listing because you've got more data than everybody else. It's your product. You know what it is, and you don't realize you're not conveying the message, and you're not testing out ways. I mean, if you can increase your conversion rate 4%, 5%, 6%, that's enormous.
Huge.
I mean, it's huge. And it can be as simple as a different main image that works better and testing it out. And so it's really, I think that would be a big part of, like we were saying, what failures people have is constantly doing that. And so when you're saying constantly, I mean, you obviously optimize, you get a client and you work with them and you fix their listing, you make it perform better. But then are you testing that monthly, every year? What's the optimal way of testing that?
Again, it's going to depend on how many units they're moving per month. Right. And there's, this is rare, but someone who's selling extremely well, we don't test it. We don't want to break anything. We don't want to change anything because they're selling, in some cases, tens of thousands of units a month. Any little tiny change can make that go up or down. It can be hard. If it goes down, it can be hard to fix. But just about back to why some fail. I'm gonna give an example, and I'm sure that anyone who shops on Amazon on a regular basis is gonna go, "Oh my God, it's so obvious. Why are so many people making this mistake?" Let's go to supplements. Okay, so you're selling vitamin D, for example. That's a massive category with COVID-19. So the vast majority of sellers who are selling vitamin D have a white or blue bottle. Sometimes they're dark, but they're all, like, I don't know, the vast majority of them are white bottles. They have a hero shot, the first product image, that's even on. So if I am on camera here, it's shooting even on. We call it a hero shot because we shoot slightly below. So when you look at our image, you're looking up towards it, and it creates the hero effect. It's this big, strong, powerful product image, right? And most people are so tenaciously adhering to the TOS guidelines, 85% of the space, white background, no other graphics, blah, 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 that they create listings that look like everyone else's listing. It's a white bottle, white background, it's level. And then they compound the very poor marketing with the secondary image flipped around to show the ingredients. And what does the ingredients say? Greek. It might as well be Japanese. I don't understand it. I have to pinch and zoom to read it. And then when I read it, I don't know why it matters to me, right? So, like, anytime you force me to pinch and zoom, you have taken a serious knock off your session rate or conversion rate because you're forcing me to engage. You're making me work. Don't make me work. Make me instantly understand how to do that. And I think, well, Jayce, it's a pill bottle. So what? What are you going to do with the pill bottle? Well, shoot below. If you can get packaging that's a different color than white, right? Because when I search vitamin D, chewables, whatever the keyword is, I'm seeing a bunch of bottles that all look the same. Why should I click on yours over someone else's? So if you go to espresso cup, if you're on Amazon now, you can go espresso cup shot glass set of 4. Seems like a long keyword. It's a very competitive keyword. You will see Kitchable somewhere near the top, and usually multiple times. And you'll see we have the packaging in the background. And our packaging, this is another big takeaway as far as scale, Chris, is we have our Hero Shot stand out among our competitors. All of them have a cup with a white background. And honestly, I don't know the difference between the 4 or 5 others. But we have the pastel, it's like a pastel orange and pastel blue. It's a very poppy, bright color that contrasts with the rest of the white and the rest of the white on the Amazon page. And it just immediately stands out. So our click-through rate's way better. And the other thing that happens is when you have multiple products in one micro niche, this is like so powerful. You click on that listing and you scroll down to where Amazon has the related products, your competitors' products. What do you find? If you go on now, you're going to find more Kitchables products, and you didn't have to think about it. Remember, 3 to 5 seconds. If you didn't have to think about it, how did you know that those were they weren't other competitors, they were other Kitchables products? Because each Hero Shot is consistently branded. Cappuccino cup with the pastel orange or blue packaging in the background. People say, Jayce, you're breaching TOS. No, we're not. We're not adding graphics. We added the packaging, right? So this comes to like testing, what's working, what's not working. If you don't have good packaging or your product doesn't lend to that, you can't use that. But you can try something else. Try, test, right? What I've come to believe is that Amazon doesn't want a bunch of automatons adhering to Amazon TOS. What they want is elegant search results that convert. They don't want it looking spammy. They want it looking good. Does the search also look good, right? And so our Hero Shots look beautiful. There's even coffee beans in the foreground. Fine. Technically, that's not TOS compliant, but we're fine. We've never been delisted, never been suspended for that, right? So you have to stand out among your competitors and consistently brand that Hero Shot right across that product line. Now, one product is cross-promoting another product, and you're kicking ass. I mean, you're crushing it at that point.
Are you looking at conversion rate at all? What's an ideal conversion rate? A lot of people say, "Oh, I got a really good, ridiculous high conversion rate." When you do these tests, are you? I know you said you're looking at your click-through rate, but are you looking at conversion rate at all?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, after each. I mean, I'm not doing ops anymore, so I'm not in the trenches day to day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're making. Let's assume a new client comes on. They're selling, I don't know, 100 units a month, right? And they want to scale to 200 a month. So they're going to make a small change, and then test. And they're checking conversion rate, click-through rate, session rate. That's a big one. And then they're checking other things like are we getting the order defect rate? Like if they've made a change in the copy that somehow created an unreasonable expectation, and they bought it and they didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? Like they were expecting something different from the copy. Because we're revamp that copy and see what converts. The other thing about the copy is it was done a lot. It's done less and less now. But the bullet point copy, the first 3 to 5 words is capitalized, and that's written for human readers in a way, again, 3 to 5 seconds. I glance at it. Do I get the feature? Do I get the benefit instantly? So for Kitchables, never burn your fingers again, because it's double wall thermal insulated. Super hot coffee, never burn your fingers, no problem. Dishwasher safe, right? Scratch resistant. And then the rest of the bullet point sentence is written in, well-written English, but it's keyword prioritized primarily for the search engine, right? So keyword prioritization, for those who don't know, I want to place keywords that I want to target in order of value and importance. And so it's in a descending rate. So the most important first, and then they're added according to their value, right?
Perfect.
Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I like everything that you're rolling through. I mean, but also on that point is there's a lot of work involved in all of this. And if you're a brand owner and you're wearing a million hats, you're dealing with suppliers, you're dealing with logistics, you're dealing with all the other things that come with Amazon. Do you have the time of day to be testing and doing all of this stuff. And that's where at some point people do need to outsource, and they need help to run these day-to-day things to make it work. And that's the benefit you guys are providing to your clients. It sounds like, I mean, the majority of your clients, they've already put that sweat equity in. They've already built some traction. They've been in the trenches and all these things. And now when they get to partner with you, they get to really focus on, ways to scale. How can they expand their brand? How can they expand their product line? And you guys are managing just the full optimization of their products on Amazon and trying to get them to convert as best as possible.
Yeah. So if a brand owner has the time to do the work that I'm talking about, they're not ready for an agency. Like, they should take this free stuff and do it yourself, right? And test, and you're gonna glean information that's really, really valuable. But if you get to a point where it's just a much better benefit to you to outsource that, then you can do that. And I want to answer a question that probably people are thinking, but they're they can't say here. If you're such a boss on Amazon, if you're so good, why don't you just launch more products? Why are you sharing your secrets? Why become an agency? Just launch more products and completely dominate and be a baller, right? The basis of that question presumes that I can't do both, right?
Right.
And I want to scale, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm excited about succeeding, right? I'm ambitious. I want to do both, right? And we have a team now, so I don't personally have to do both. So we know that there's just a growing demand for this service, and we can launch more. And we're so transparent. We can talk about Kitchables and Ashtonby here openly. Come compete with us, no problem. You're gonna have a hard time, but we're very open and transparent about that. So we are launching more products. We will continue to launch. We're launching a third brand now. We're just in the very early stages, and I'm documenting everything because I can't wait to make content out of that. And like how are we choosing new products? We're putting to test what I'm talking about right now, like at the early stages, not just with Kitchables and Ashtonby, but like a totally new brand. Very exciting, because the challenges we had, 8-9 years ago starting those brands are not the challenges we're having now. Like, they're just different. It's a different time. It's 2022, right? Some things are harder, some things are easier. But the growing pain point that everyone is experiencing is it gets harder and harder. It's more expensive to find new customers. That's the name of the game, right? How do I find new customers? And when you're on an Amazon platform, you're trusting that, so many people come to this platform. If I can take a piece of that, I can grow my business there. And I guess the next thing we haven't talked about with regards to scale is just branding. And so if I can talk about that now.
Go ahead,
please.
So because we have a lot of clients from many different product categories. And so unlike most individual sellers, our experience is gleaned from so many different product categories, and there's common themes. And one of the themes is a very frustrated entrepreneur who's getting their asses kicked by a Chinese seller. And they feel like it's unfair because a Chinese seller can more easily break the rules, do gray hat and black hat stuff and get away with it. Whereas if they even happen to accidentally open up a second account that they had from years ago, they get suspended and they're losing money by the minute, right? Very angry, take it very personally, very emotional. And I want to submit to people who are feeling that way, and I've said this to many clients, is that if you were in China and you had their advantage, you'd be doing the same thing too.
For sure.
No doubt.
Maybe not you, but most people would. Most people would, right? We're humans. If you can get away with it, you're going to get away with it. And we should thereby leverage our advantage. They got manufacturing, we got branding, and we have an understanding of the audience, right? When I was doing Android Authority, and if you know the phone manufacturer called OnePlus, do you guys know OnePlus?
I don't.
So they make awesome Android-based smartphones that, like, just value for value are better than an iPhone. Like, they just do more for less money. Amazing. But the marketing and the branding can be super laughable, right? Because, like, I don't know why they aren't hiring, an American or a Canadian agency to do their marketing for them. Maybe they have, but it's somehow slipped through. But they will have copy that's translated sort of Chinglish. That's just hilariously funny, right? They think makes sense, but to a native speaker, it's a joke, right? It's very, very laughable. We understand our audience here on a level that a Chinese seller cannot, never. Even if they come and live here for the next 2 years, it'll never be the same as you and me who grew up here, right? So we have to leverage that. I'm just going to give an example of this. So I hunt, right? I have a hunting dog. I love to hunt. And one thing that's a big thing in the hunting community, at least the waterfowl hunting community, is decoys. So when you're hunting geese, Canada geese, we can hunt them here in Canada. It's become a rich man's sport because these decoys are like hundreds of dollars for a dozen. And then you got to have the storage space. You got to have a trailer just to haul these things around. You need hundreds of them if you're going to hunt geese. And it's just like a $5,000 barrier to entry. It's crazy. And so there's a brand called Dive Bomb Industries. Now they're not on Amazon yet. I'm going to target them. I want to launch them on Amazon. But they are a brilliant example of guys who hunted. They understood their community. You don't have to be a hunter to understand the community, but you have to investigate and understand the community. So they knew that this was a pain point, and they took something that was used decades ago called silhouette decoys. So it's basically a heavy it's a plastic supported cardboard. So it's cardboard that has a plastic seal on it to keep it tough and weather resistant, but it's flat. So if I show it to you this way, you don't see anything. But if I do this way, you see a goose, right? And it's got two like spokes in it, and you stick in the ground. I can stack a dozen of them, store it in a shelf anywhere or in the back of a truck, no problem. And I can buy them at like 1/4 the cost of a full-fledged decoy, right? So they have a benefit that's baked into the image. So when they create an image, you get why it matters right away, instantly. Oh, wow, save space, save money right away. And so what they did was they created a Facebook page that was celebrating this idea of allowing people who don't have a lot of money, young kids, to get into hunting. Around here, there's so many geese. You could hunt geese and provide meat for the whole year, not have to buy store-bought factory meat, right? Which is a fantastic thing. And they created this Facebook group, and instead of just doing a group like other people, they created a calling contest. They had a youth calling contest, an amateur contest, and then a professional contest. There's actually professional geese callers who make money off of it. And the winner was, a hunt with Dive Bomb, right? So they'd fly you out and hunt with Dive Bomb and sponsorships and all this kind of stuff. Absolutely brilliant. And they had people come in who were just having fun and doing stupid, goofy stuff. And it was this entertainment thing. So we'd go to the page and just watch these videos, because you'd submit a video of you calling, and people would, encourage it and critique it and laugh at it. And it was just hilariously fun. But over 2 weeks, this page just grew like crazy. And if anyone wants to buy a silhouette decoy, there's like 4 or 5 major sellers. You're only thinking of Dive Bomb, right? If you're in that community, they are the Apple of goose decoys, because they've completely owned that space with creating something that the community really loved. They understood the community so well, right? A Chinese knockoff will eventually sell, silhouette decoys. It's going to happen. But they'll never, like, Dive Bomb has such a massive head start. Dive Bomb, I think, if they continue that, will never be in a position where Chinese manufacturers kicking their butt, right? There's so many examples of that. There's YouTubers out there who are selling, because I'm into the outdoors. There's a Canadian YouTuber called the Bearded Woodsman, right? And he wanted to know how he could, make more money off his channel, not rely on YouTube ads and all that stuff. And so he created basically wild spice. And it's a spice that's like, it's a spice for everything. You're going to fish for pike. You're going to get, a duck when you're out in the bush or wherever. You can cook that over the fire, and it's your one-stop spice for everything. And he, made a whole bunch of meals with the spice and all that kind of stuff using content marketing. And if you look on Amazon, spices is a massive category, but he had such a huge advantage because he had this baked in audience off of Amazon, driving traffic to his Amazon listing, that then saw a huge spike. For those of you who don't know, when you're trying to rank and bank, as people say, you want to concentrate a whole bunch of sales in a short period of time. So this is where content marketing comes in. If you have an audience and you're creating content for that audience, you create contests that then incentivizes them to hit that page and buy, at the same hour, the same day, all at the same time, right? And you're going to see your rank go up, right? Not many people are doing this, and it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's genius. That's awesome. That's
It
good
is.
stuff.
And it's also, I mean, people talk about branding and, you know, all the tactics to branding, but that is branding. It's building a community. It's building a tribe
Yep.
where they wouldn't think about going outside of that tribe to
Mhm.
purchase the products. I mean, they feel that connection with the community. And yeah, those are great examples. I love the silhouette. That is a great example of differentiating a
That's
product
right. That's right.
that's been sold forever
Yep.
in one way, and you made it better, more affordable, more transportable. I mean, that's brilliant. I like that.
And they didn't invent it. They were just aware that they were there, but it hadn't really been marketed. It was seen as, you know, sort of cheap. Only the
Sure.
poor hunters do that, you know, because it become like golf, like a rich person's sport, right? You know, that kind of thing. And yeah, it was ingenious. It's
And they
great.
made it cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Exactly.
It's great.
Man, that was a lot of good information right there. That's a lot of fun. And I know there's a lot of people listening right now that are at this point in their journey, in their business, in their growth, where they're like, I need to take some of this off my plate. And I need people who are in the trenches across the board to take over and see what they can do to take this to the next level. And they like what they hear listening to you. So now they're wondering, well, how do I reach out to them and get started? So let everyone know what steps they need to do to start the conversation with you guys.
Yeah, sure. You just go to sellerinteractive.com, as it spells, sellerinteractive.com. In the top right-hand corner, you can book a call with us. We're happy to chat with you. These calls are just free coaching calls. We'll go through your listings with you and tell you what we would do to try and improve your sales. And at the end of that call, if you think you can do it yourself, great. Go do it yourself. You're gonna get a lot of free advice, like you did today. And then if you do want to partner with us, we can onboard you pretty quickly.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone to do that, especially for that free consulting call. That's worth it right there, just to get some advice. So everyone should do that. Jayce, we got to get you back on in the future. There's all kinds of topics we could go down rabbit holes on. We just scratched the surface for sure today.
Yeah, there's lots to talk about. I mean, if you go on YouTube, one of the top keywords with Amazon now is it too late to launch on Amazon in 2022? Guys,
No.
It is only beginning. Like, you think it's big now, it's only going to get bigger, and e-commerce is going to get bigger, and it's only going to get harder. You know, like the best time to invest was 10 years ago. The next best time is now. Same thing. Like, just even if you don't partner with Sell Interactive, just start. Like, start now. Keep starting. Don't quit. And I can promise you that if you just keep at it and you're employing some of these tactics that we talked about today, eventually you will succeed.
100%.
Mhm.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. You may have products that fail, but you're not going to fail for sure. If you just keep plugging away, especially if you use your tactics on those micro launch strategies. I mean, it's great. I love a lot of those tips, and I know people enjoyed hearing all the advice and tips you gave today. So again, everyone needs to reach out, sellerinteractive.com. Go ahead and book that call. And we really appreciate you, Jayce. Thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we thank everyone for tuning in today. If you like content like this, if you like popping on your podcast and hearing all this great advice from cool people like Jayce, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. You can also see our live streams all over Solozo's social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're all there, so you can go back and watch any of our past episodes. So make sure you do that. Additionally, if you're looking for PPC help, you can obviously go to Seller Interactive for their full management of your entire account. Or if PPC is something that you're looking to automate a lot of the day-to-day work, the bid adjustments, the native keyword creations, keyword transfers, etc., we can do that for you at Solozo. So you can go to solozo.com and you can book a demo, and you'll get either Chris or I on that call. And we'd love to have a conversation with you and show you the power of Solozo's platform. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. That's it. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.